In a world where appearances often shape our first impressions, one couple's journey would challenge everything they thought they knew about love, trust, and the hidden mysteries of life itself. Lily and Jason had a picture-perfect marriage, two beautiful children, a loving home, and dreams of expanding their family. But when their long-awaited third child arrived, the unthinkable happened. Their newborn son, Ethan, was born with snow-white skin, pale golden hair, and striking blue eyes, a stark contrast to his dark-haired, olive-skinned parents. The hospital room fell into stunned silence. Nurses exchanged glances. Jason's heart pounded with doubt. Was this child truly his? What followed was a revelation so rare, so extraordinary, that it would redefine their understanding of family, destiny, and the invisible bonds that tie us together. The truth was not one of betrayal, but of an astonishing genetic miracle, one that would teach them the deepest lesson about love, faith, and the beauty of the unexpected. Let us know where you are watching from and what time you found this video. The moment Lily traced the thin blue lines on the pregnancy test, she found herself unable to catch her breath for the 100th time that morning. Having endured 2 years of excruciating emptiness, medical appointments that seemed like interrogations, and the harsh monthly cycle of hope melting into despair, this frail double line felt like a lifeline that had been tossed across a stormy sea. While he was kneeling next to her, Jason, who was often the stoic guardian, covered hers with his calloused fingers, which were shaking. The tone of his voice was heavy with skepticism as he murmured, "Is it real?" Lily caught her breath and exhaled, "It's real," as tears began to fall freely. A third kid, the brother Jason envisioned protecting his sisters, was no longer a ghost for them. Their hope of having a third child materialized. The ferocious and delicate flower of hope grew once again. It was like a beloved and nerve-wracking tune that blossomed throughout the pregnancy. Each and every flutter and kick was a sign that the miracle had been accomplished. At the same time as Lily was glowing, Jason was beaming, and their children, Maya and Leo, were talking non-stop about baby guardian. While Jason painstakingly assembled a crib that was supposed to last generations, they painted the nursery a gentle sky blue color. Jason whispered promises to the person who was not visible about baseball games and secret handshakes. It was then that the crescendo, the long-awaited conclusion, arrived: labor. As the hours passed, they became a haze of agony and struggle, which culminated in a last push that was successful. There was a communal pause in breathing as the little figure emerged. But instead of the joyful yell that always followed, there was a startled stillness that prevailed. It became more profound and dense, nearly reaching a physical level. While holding the child in the air, the physician's countenance was indecipherable. Nurses stopped moving in the middle of their work. As Jason rushed to Lily's side, he saw that the world began to tilt. However, the infant who was cradled against Lily's tired bosom was not the newborn with olive complexion and black hair that they had envisaged. There was, on the other hand, a kid of snow and moonlight tucked up there, eyes that are the stunning crystalline blue of a glacial lake, flawless skin that is nearly transparent, and a shock of fluffy platinum blonde hair are all characteristics of this individual. Being able to look back at Jason was an unattainable mental image. Baby who is white. Jason's happiness was slashed deep by a chilling fear that was more incisive than any knife. Instantaneously, the whispers, which consist of sharp and brittle objects, began. Her child? But he looks... Jason, the father? He was aware that every single eye in the room was shifting its focus between him, Lily, and the newborn. The unexpected and crushing weight of uncertainty caused the foundations of his universe, which had been built on trust and 5 years of shared living, to grumble. Would she be able to? So, would she? In his mind, the inquiries were like a pack of vipers. The incomprehensible image that was in front of him was clouded by tears that he was unable to control. It was not a sight of delight, but rather of a terrible and unknown pit opening up at his feet. Lily, who was frail and confused, saw that Jason's expression conveyed a sense of uncertainty. "Jason?" It was a delicate thread that was her voice. "He is really stunning. Isn't that the case?" Without a response, the query lingered in the thick atmosphere. She walked forward, her own brow wrinkled not in judgment, but rather in great inquiry. The main doctor, Dr. Evans, a lady who is recognized for her calm and pragmatic approach, also went forward. Her voice sliced through the tension as she added, "We need to run some tests." And her words left an impression. Immediately. In the hours that followed, the torment seemed like an eternity that had long since passed. The pounding of Jason's heart was reflected in the repetitive ticking of the clock as he walked around the immaculate waiting area. Lily's smile, her whispered secrets, and the years of closeness were all images that plagued him. All of these things were now suspicious. It had been a lie, right? Was the illusion of his family, which he had painstakingly crafted, going to explode? He gazed at his own black hands, which were calloused and recognizable, and then he pictured the baby's skin, which was a pale white. It was impossible to stand the discord. When Dr. Evans finally came in, her expression was completely inscrutable. He braced himself, his knuckles becoming white as he did so. "Jason," she told him, her stare remaining unwavering and fierce, "this child is unquestionably yours." Jason blinked, and a stifled whistle came out of his mouth. Relief was a fierce adversary to complete and total perplexity. "How is it?" Dr. Evans sat down in a chair and leaned forward as he did so. She added, her voice low with the weight of revelation, that what we are seeing is a genetic phenomena that is very uncommon. People who are albino, particularly the oculocutaneous albinism type 1 condition. After a little pause, she let the phrase to settle. "It is a recessive gene that Lily has on her body. Do you as well?" Jason looked at her, unable to grasp. "However, it's not true." "Exactly," Dr. Evans agreed, a little glimmer of admiration appearing in her eyes. "Both of you are silent carriers of the mutation, which is buried deep inside your DNA genes. Not a single one of you exhibits any signs. In order for Ethan, who is his name, to be born with albinism, it was necessary for him to receive 2 copies of the recessive gene. Each of you should provide one. Are the odds? In terms of astronomy, low. Imagine winning the genetic lottery in reverse. Just think about it. The statistical likelihood of it occurring is anywhere between once in tens of thousands of births, and perhaps even less often depending on the demographic." She stopped, and her tone became more kind. "In the course of my profession, I have only seen a demonstration of pure OCA1 like this one once before. Whether it be his complexion, his hair, or his eyes, Jason, it is not a surprise that he is unfaithful. A genetic coincidence of this magnitude is almost unheard of. A demonstration of the extraordinary and concealed complexities that are carried within both of you." The shock did not disappear. Rather, it transformated. A dawning, deep awe rushed over Jason like a warm wave, and it served as a replacement for the chilly fear that had been there. After looking at Dr. Evans, he turned his attention to the window of the nursery, where a nurse was holding Ethan in a kind manner. The light from the fluorescent lamp struck the baby's light-colored hair, giving it the appearance of glowing with an ethereal luminosity. This is not a sign of treachery. Rather, it is a miracle that has been etched into the strands of DNA, a quiet inheritance from both of their parents, brought together in their son. The tears began to fill up once again, but this time they were tears of genuine humility and awe over the situation. The words came out of his mouth as he hurried back to Lily's chamber, and they were not only an explanation. Rather, they were an urgent and ecstatic absolution. As a result of the story spreading abroad, the controversy was transformed into amazement. The narrative they told, which became known as the albino miracle, became a worldwide lesson in genetics and acceptance. The instance was mentioned by geneticists, and communications came pouring in from families whose lives had been affected by albinism. Reporters sought them out. Jason and Lily, who had previously been afraid of prying eyes, ended up becoming unwitting ambassadors. Does the neighborhood have rumors? They continued to take place. When Lily was pushing Ethan's pram, people stared at her with curiosity. The air would sometimes be punctuated with a question that was completely insensitive, such as, "Is he adopted?" Or, "Where did he really come from?" However, the uncertainty had gone, and in its stead came a strong pride that guarded. During their stroll across the park, Jason would easily carry Ethan on his large shoulders, creating a striking and lovely contrast between the father and son. With a broad and sincere grin, he would meet the gazes of those who were inquisitive. "Yep, he's all mine," he would exclaim, his voice resonating with confidence, causing the inquisitive to flush and turn away after hearing his words. Lily embarked on a career as an albino scholar. She gained an understanding of photophobia as well as the fundamental need for high SPF apparel and headgear. Through her involvement with support groups, she gained an appreciation of the possibility for visual difficulties as well as the terrible sting of discrimination. She strengthened her own knowledge to serve as a defense mechanism against her son's lack of awareness. Throughout his development, Ethan's singularity was not only acknowledged, rather, it became his hallmark. Not only was his hair golden, but it was a cascade of spun moonlight, which caused others to turn their heads not with suspicion, but with reflexive admiration of him. His blue eyes, which were hidden beneath specialist-tinted glasses that Lily had painstakingly obtained, were not just peculiar, they were also deep, clear pools that reflected the world with a surprising intensity. Through careful navigation of playgrounds, avoiding the hottest heat, and transforming shady areas beneath trees into his own personal kingdoms, he learnt to explore playgrounds with care. It is possible that his desire to sometimes take a break from the sensory overload of brilliant light and busy people was the source of his peaceful observation and kind personality, which resulted in his having a profound capacity for empathy. Rather than concealing himself, he exuded an air of unwavering self-assurance, expressing the love that his parents had instilled in him without condition. Years later, when Jason would sit on the porch and watch Ethan, who was now a teenager, gently teach his younger sister how to paint the delicate patterns of light pouring through the oak leaves, a subject that he represented with extraordinary sensitivity, he would remember the hospital's icy quiet. He felt a scar from the recollection of his uncertainty, but it was not one that he touched with guilt, but rather with a great sense of appreciation. It was at that time of near catastrophe that his knowledge of love was fully tempered. It was the furnace where he had been forged. This compelled him to address the unseen links that genuinely bind families together, relationships that are constructed not just from similar characteristics, but also from shared history, unshakable trust, and the stunning hidden truths that are carried in every cell. It took away preconceptions and forced him to confront these invisible bonds. The teaching that was engraved into his heart was simple, yet it had a profound impact. Love is not defined by the reflection in the mirror. The truth is the furnace in which it is made, and acceptance is the steady light that demonstrates its validity. There was no diversion from their tale when they discovered Ethan, the snowdrop that had bloomed unexpectedly in the family garden. It was a bright chapter about the tremendous beauty that was concealed among the everyday threads of life, and it was about the limitless power of love to light even the most elusive of pathways. He was the narrative. Their family tapestry, which had been stitched with threads of expectancy in the past, was now immeasurably richer. The most dramatic and beautiful pattern of their family tapestry was produced by the confluence of two secret recessive strands, which culminated in a boy who was really a child of light, a new forum.